Welcome, everyone. Good night. I trust that you had a great day today. And you know what time it is. You know exactly what time it is. Look at that. Who did not wait? Who remembered to unmute her mic tonight? Would that be me? Yes, it is. Anyhow, um, I don't want to keep you long. So let us begin. The Power of Awareness, Chapter 7 Attitude. Experiments recently conducted by Merle Lawrence, Princeton, and Aldebert Amos, Dartmouth, in the latter's psychology laboratory at Hanover, New Hampshire, prove that when you look at something, prove that what you see when you look at something depends not so much on what is there as on the assumption you make when you look. So it's not what you see when you look at something, but it depends on your assumption. Hmm. Well, since what we believe to be the real physical world is actually only an assumptive world, it is not surprising that these experiments prove that what appears to be solid reality is actually the result of expectations or assumptions. Your assumptions determine not only what you see, but also what you do, for they govern all your conscious and subconscious movements towards the fulfillment of themselves. Over a century ago, this truth was stated by Emerson as follows: as the world was plastic and fluid in the hands of God, so it is ever to so much of his attributes as we bring to it. To ignorance and sin, it is flint. They adapt themselves to it as they may, but in proportion as a man has anything in him divine, the firmament flows before him and takes his signet and form. In other words, your assumption is the hand of God molding the firmament into the image of what you assume. The assumption of the wish fulfilled is the high tide which lifts you easily off the bar of the senses where you have so long lain stranded. It lifts the mind into prophecy in the full right sense of the word. And if you have that controlled imagination and absorbed attention, which it is possible to attain, well, you may be sure that all your assumption implies, will come to pass. Hey, Maddie, when William Blake wrote, "Hmm, what seems to be is to those to whom it seems to be." What seems to be is to those to whom it seems to be. He was only repeating the eternal truth. There is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. Romans 14:14. Because there is nothing unclean of itself or clean of itself. You should assume the best and think only of that which is lovely and of good report. Philippians 4, verse 8. It is not superior insight, but ignorance of this law of assumption. If you read into the greatness of men, some littleness with which you may be familiar, or into some situation or circumstance as unfavorable conviction, your particular relationship to another influences your assumption with respect to that other and makes you see him, and it makes you see in him that which you do see. Oh, we have to say that again, Fernando. Your particular relationship to another influences your assumption with respect to that other and makes you see in him that which you do see. If you can change your opinion of another, then what you now believe of him cannot be absolutely true, but is only relatively true. The following is an actual case history illustrating how the law of assumption works. Mm. One day, a costume designer described to me her difficulties in working with a prominent theatrical producer. She was convinced that he unjustly criticized and rejected her best work, and that often he was deliberately rude and unfair to her. Upon hearing her story, I explained that if she found the other rude and unfair, it was a sure sign that she herself was wanting, and that it was not the producer, but herself that was in need of a new attitude. Ooh. I told her that the power of this law of assumption and its practical application could only be discovered only through experience, and that only by assuming that the situation was already what she wanted it to be could she prove that she could bring about the change desired. Her employer was merely bearing witness, telling her by his behavior what her concept of him was. I suggested that it was quite probable that she was carrying on conversations with him in her mind, which were filled with criticism and recriminations. There was no doubt but that she was mentally arguing with the producer. For others only echo that which we whisper to them in secret. I asked her if it was not true that she talked to him mentally, and if so, what those conversations were like. She confessed that every morning on her way to the theater, she told him just what she thought of him in a way she would never have dared address him in person. The intensity and force of her mental arguments with him automatically established his behavior towards her. She began to realize that all of us carry on mental conversations. But unfortunately, on most occasions, these conversations are argumentative, that we have only to observe the passerby on the street to prove this assertion. That so many people are mentally engrossed in conversation, and few appear to be happy about it. But the very intensity of their feeling must lead them quickly to the unpleasant incident they themselves have mentally created, and therefore must now encounter. When she realized what she had been doing, she agreed to change her attitude and to live this law faithfully by assuming that her job was highly satisfactory and her relationship with the producer was a very happy one. To do this, she agreed that before going to sleep at night, on her way to work, and at other intervals during the day, she would imagine that he had congratulated her on her fine designs, and that she in turn had thanked him for his praise and kindness. Well, to her great delight, she soon discovered for herself that her own attitude was the cause of all that befell her. Hmm, this tastes like crow to me. Ooh, this tastes like crow tonight. Mm. If you've been with me for a while, you know exactly what that statement means. This feels like crow tonight. I will eat this crow. Just give me the barbecue sauce. I'll make this crow taste good because this is telling me what I need to do. Change my attitude. Oh, the behavior of her employer miraculously reversed itself. His attitude echoing as it had always done. That which she had assumed now reflected her changed concept of him. What she did was by the power of her imagination. Her persistent assumption influenced his behavior and determined his attitude toward her. With the passport of desire on the wings of a controlled imagination, she traveled into the future of her own predetermined experience. Thus, we see it is not facts, but that which we create in our imagination, which shapes our lives. For most of the conflicts of the day are due to the want of a little imagination to cast the beam out of our own eye. Ooh, this crow. Mm. It is the exact and literal minded who live in a fictitious world. The who? The exact and literal minded who live in a fictitious world. As this designer, by her controlled imagination, oh, pardon me. As this designer, by her controlled imagination, started the subtle change in her employer's mind, so can we, by the control of our own imagination and wisely directed feeling, solve our problems. By the intensity of her imagination and feeling, the designer casts a kind of enchantment on her producer's mind and caused him to think that his generous praise originated with him. Often, our most elaborate and original thoughts are determined by another. You don't say. We should never be certain that it was not some woman treading in the winepress who began that subtle change in men's minds, or that the passion did not begin in the mind of some shepherd boy lighting up his eyes for a moment before it ran upon its way. William Butler Yeats. Ooh, chapter 8. Renunciation. There is no coal of character so dead that it will not glow and flame if but slightly turned. Resist not evil. Whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. Matthew 5:39. Oh, but listen to what it means, okay? There is a great difference between resisting evil and renouncing it. When you resist evil, you give it your attention. You continue to make it real. When you renounce evil, you take your attention from it and give your attention to what you want. Now is the time to control your imagination and give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Isaiah 61, verse 3. You give beauty for ashes when you concentrate your attention on things as you would like them to be rather than on things as they are. So, turning the other cheek, turning the other cheek means what? Turning your attention away from and turning your attention towards. Turn it away from what you do not want and turn it towards what you do want. Are you not turning the cheek? Are you not? But we think turning the cheek means, oh, you hit me. Ow. Hit me over here. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean you take abuse. That's not what it means at all. It means to withdraw your attention from that thing that annoys you and put your attention wholeheartedly on what you say you want to become. That is turning the other cheek. Mm. You give joy for mourning. When you maintain a joyous attitude regardless of unfavorable circumstances, you give praise for the spirit of heaviness. When you maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency. In this quotation, the Bible uses the word tree as a synonym for man. You become a tree of righteousness when the above mental states are a permanent part of your consciousness. You are a planting of the Lord when all your thoughts are true thoughts. Pardon me. He is I am. As described in chapter 1, I am, is glorified when your highest concept of yourself is manifested. When you have discovered your own controlled imagination to be your savior, your attitude will be completely altered without any diminution or I got to get my dictionary. You're not diminishing of religious feeling, so I have to find what that word means. Diminution. Hold on. Diminution. Let's find out what it means. DIM. Diminish, diminuendo, diminutive. I don't find it there. Let's see if I go online for dictionary. Look it up. A reduction in the size, extent, or importance of something. Well, diminish, right, is the root word here. So it says, when you have discovered your own controlled imagination to be your savior, your attitude will be completely altered without any diminution of religious feeling, and you will say of your controlled imagination, oh, behold this vine. I found it a wild tree whose wanton strength had swollen into irregular twigs. But I pruned the plant, and it grew temperate in its vain expense of useless leaves, and knotted as you see into these clean, full clusters to repay the hand that wisely wounded it. Robert Southey, in from the works of Thalaba the Destroyer. That's where that quote came from. By vine is meant your imagination, which in its uncontrolled state expends its energy in useless or destructive thoughts and feelings. But you, just as the vine is pruned by cutting away its useless branches and roots, prune your imagination by withdrawing your attention from all unlovely and destructive ideas and concentrating on the ideal you wish to attain. The happier, more noble life you will experience will be the result of wisely pruning your imagination. I think I know what tomorrow will be. Let me remember what it is. Yes, be pruned of all unlovely thoughts and feelings that you may think truly, and thy thoughts shall the world's famine feed. Speak truly, and each word of thine shall be a fruitful seed. Live truly, and thy life shall be a great and noble creed. Horatio Bonner, Hymns of Faith and Hope. Ooh. Chapter 9, Preparing Your Place. And all mine are thine, and thine are mine. John 17, verse 10. Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. Revelations 14, verse 15. All is yours. Do not go seeking for that which you are. Appropriate it, claim it, assume it. Everything depends upon your concept of yourself. That which you do not claim as true of yourself cannot be realized by you. The promise is, whosoever hath, to him it shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that which he seemeth to have. Matthew 25, verse 29, and Luke 8, verse 18. Hold fast in your imagination to all that is lovely and of good report. For the lovely and the good are essential in your life if it is to be worthwhile. Assume it. You do this by imagining that you already are what you want to be and already have what you want to have. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23, verse 7. Be still and know that you are that which you desire to be, and you will never have to search for it. Thank you, Jesus. Listen, if you you want to give thanks for something, that's the phrase. Be still and know that you are that which you desire to be, and you will never have to search for it. Why? In spite of your appearance of freedom of action, you obey, as everything else does, the law of assumption. Whatever you may think of the question of free will, the truth is your experiences throughout your life are determined by your assumptions, whether conscious or unconscious. An assumption builds a bridge of incidents that leads inevitably to the fulfillment of itself. Man believes the future to be the natural development of the past. But the law of assumption clearly shows that this is not the case. Your assumption places you psychologically where you are not physically. Then your senses pull you back from where you were psychologically to where you are physically. Read it again, Angela, after you highlight it. Your assumption places you psychologically where you are not physically. Then your senses pull you back from where you were psychologically to where you are physically. It is these psychological forward motions that produce your physical forward motions in time. Precognition permeates all the scriptures of the world. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And now I have told you before it came to pass, that when it comes to pass, ye might believe. That is exactly what he just said. Your assumption places you psychologically where you are not physically. And then your senses will pull you back from where you were psychologically to where you are physically. Thus, he says, I go to prepare a place. So you go psychologically to the place you want to. Go psychologically first, because wherever you are psychologically, your senses will pull you there physically. That's why he says, I go to prepare a place for you. That's what it means. Ooh, and that would be John 14, verse 2, 3, and 29. The I in this quotation is your imagination, which goes into the future, into one of the many mansions. Mansion is the state desired. Telling of an event before it occurs physically is simply feeling yourself into the state desired until it has the tones of reality. You go and prepare a place for yourself by imagining yourself into the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Then you speed from this state of the wish fulfilled, where you have not been physically, back to where you were physically a moment ago. Then, with an irresistible forward movement, you move forward across a series of events to the physical realization of your wish. That where you have been in imagination, there you will be in the flesh also. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. Ecclesiastes 1, verse 7. And we will end there tonight. Tomorrow we'll read chapter 10. We read 7, 8, and 9. We'll read chapter 10 tomorrow. Um, have to go back because I highlight all the time for this reason. I love the way he explains that scripture. In my father's house are many mansions, meaning there are many states that I can experience. Many. Because a mansion is a state of mind, a mansion is a mental mood, a mansion is an attitude. I can have any one of those things, I can have many of them. So he says, in my father's house are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. Yes. This is why when Neville says, what do you want? Experience in imagination what you would experience in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. Which means go and prepare the place. Prepare the place psychologically or mentally. And then he says, your senses will pull you to it. All these little things, quote unquote, that we call coincidences. It's not a coincidence. It was you who went to prepare a place that where I am, there ye may be also. So wherever you are in imagination is where you have to be in the rest of the world. And so tonight, as we slide into the silence, as we slide into the silence, your assumption places you psychologically where you are not physically. You're not there physically, but you're there psychologically. But then, as you are there psychologically, your senses pull you from where you are psychologically because you have to come back. You have to live, right? So you come back from the imagination into here and now. And then, in a way that we know not of, the place you went to prepare in imagination is the place you must occupy in this realm. So you see how beautiful he put that? The place you went psychologically was to prepare yourself for it physically. So tonight, as we slide into the silence, when you know what you want and you begin to experience or rehearse in imagination, in other words, go prepare the place. Go prepare it in your imagination. Listen, a wedding planner, any kind of event planner, prepares the place before you get there. You tell the planner what you want. I want to seat these many people. I want to feed these many people. Here's the mood I want when they come in the room. Here's the ambiance. This is what you tell the event planner. But you notice something? You can only tell the event planner what you want, which means you have to know what you want. How else can the event planner bring it to life? So the event planner is going into their imagination to prepare that place for you so you can occupy it. So you are the event planner tonight as we go into the silence. As the event planner, what do you want? What kind of mood? What kind of ambiance? What? That's what you want, the theme. You want the theme for your event. Now, the event is your life experience. You want the theme for that. So, paint the picture so so your event planner knows what it is. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm having a party." Are you having an all-white party? Are you having a pink party? What kind of party are you having? This is why you must know what you want. So start there. What do you want? Tell it to your event planner. Who's your event planner? Just my imagination. Your imagination. So you paint the picture as elaborate as you want it for your imagination. And you have sent the event planner to prepare that place. The event planner will call you and say, I've got everything done. Let's do a final walkthrough. You go and you meet the event planner and you walk through and you will say either, I'm really digging this, but you know what? How about we shuffle this one a little bit here, shuffle that one a little bit here. And the event planner says, yep, done. And then once they modify it, they present it to you again. And you say, oh my God, that is so amazing. I love it. Take my money. That's what you say. So, tonight, as we slide into the silence, what do you want? Plan the event psychologically so that you will attend that event physically. Now, do you see why you rehearse? Now, do you see why you practice? Now, you see why and how you can believe in the thing you say? Well, let us go into the silence. Know what you want. Experience in imagination what you would experience in reality. And then bask in the sweet thrill and excitement and feeling of satisfaction and accomplishment of it for the next 5 minutes. And there concludes our 5 minutes of silence. So remember to practice. Remember to practice. Going to prepare the place. Come back. And then you will go to where the whatever place you prepared in your mind's eye is the place you will occupy in the outer world. And the only way to know is to practice. Yes? Anyhow, let's see. Fernando. Feel like singing ABBA all of a sudden. Oh, hello, Cosmo and Sprout. And Maddie's World. Hey. Twitter is as Twitter is. Flo Smiles, Miss Deborah, Moon, and Dolphin Duck. Amelie, I am that deal. Freedom. I see you all. I see you all. Thank you for being here tonight. And as always, Miss Deborah, I sent you a message. Just so you know. I sent you a text a little while ago. Um, yeah. Anywho, let's play the evening chime for a moment. And then, I will go put a little bit to bed and put myself to bed. Mm? Because tomorrow's the weekend. Cheers to the freaking week. Sorry. Anyhow, the weekend is upon us. And you know what that means. That means Saturday is our room day. Hello, Miss Deborah, darling.
Hey, sweetheart, I did not get a text.
You didn't?
I did not. I just looked, so I did not get one. But I can call you after. You can give me a buzz when you're ready.
Okay. Once I
Okay.
close. Yeah.
All righty, that's fine.
Okay. Oh.
And hello to everybody else in the room.
Hey, hey, y'all.
And I will chat with you a little bit soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah. um, well, let's take a few moments and just enjoy the gentle sounds of the chime. Shall we? We shall chime in. This is the evening chime. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you. And I'll see you at the crack of dawn. 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to wake up with us. I forgot I was on camera. Oh my God. See, this takes some getting used to. Anywho, peace out, YouTube.